This is the Coleman Sundome 6-person tent. This is the 2-person tent, and I'm going to show you all the differences between these tents. The setup for both Sundome tents is almost exactly the same, but the 6-person Sundome has 4 extra pole clips, 1 extra stake loop under the door, and 4 extra guy lines, so it took 11.5 minutes to set up, whereas the 2-person Sundome tent took just 5.5 minutes to set up. The 4-person Sundome should be somewhere in between. I'm estimating about 8.5 minutes. The takedown is just the reverse of the setup. The 2-person Sundome took 5 minutes, the 6-person Sundome took 10 minutes, so I think the 4-person Sundome will take about 7.5 minutes. For the peak height, the highest will be in the 6-person Sundome, coming in at about 74.5 inches. I can stand upright no problem with plenty of headroom left above me. The 2-person Sundome has a peak height of just 48.5 inches, and I'm only able to sit under this peak height or kneel under it, but I definitely can't stand up. In this 2-person Sundome, a 4-inch thick sleeping pad felt perfectly comfortable, while a 9-inch thick mattress felt much tighter. I wouldn't recommend anything thicker. As for the 4-person Sundome, it's supposed to have a peak height of around 59 inches, and I found that it's pretty accurate for all my 4-person Coleman tents. Even though I'm not tall at just 5'3", I couldn't stand up in any of my 4-person tents, and I had to slouch a little under the peak height. The base area in the 6-person Sundome is of course the biggest, with dimensions of about 9 feet 8 inches by 9 feet 7 inches. Even though this is smaller than the marketed dimensions of 10 by 10 feet, I could still easily fit 6 regular sleeping pads inside the tent. I could also fit 2 almost queen-sized camping mattresses with dimensions on the screen here. The base area in the 2-person Sundome measures about 6 feet 9 inches by 4 feet 9 inches, so also a few inches smaller than the marketed dimensions of 7 by 5 feet, but I could still fit 2 regular sleeping pads inside the Sundome tent or 1 entire queen bed. The 4-person Sundome is supposed to measure 9 by 7 feet, just like my 4-person Carlsbad Coleman tent, but it still ran a little bit small, coming in at just 8 feet 8 inches by 6 feet 9 inches. I could still fit 4 regular sleeping pads inside the tent though, or 1 entire queen bed with lots of leftover space. Here's a comparison on the base area of my Coleman Sundome tents in square feet. The 6-person Sundome is the heaviest, coming in at about 16 pounds, while the 2-person Sundome comes in at about 6.5 pounds, and the 4-person Sundome is supposed to weigh about 10 pounds. The 6-person Sundome has a packed size that's about 2.5 times the size of the 2-person Sundome, and here's what they look like together. The rest of the features are the same no matter the size of the Sundome tent, like 2 windows, 1 door, and 3 vents inside the tent. Strangely enough though, they all have the same number of storage options, like 2 pockets, 1 lantern loop, and 1 e-port. I expected the 6-person Sundome to have more pockets and lantern loops though. For the pricing, I paid less than $50 for the 2-person Sundome and about $100 for the 6-person Sundome, and I checked the 4-person Sundome, it's somewhere in between. If this video has been helpful to you so far, I would love it if you could help me hit that like button. Thank you, and I really appreciate it. So, for my recommendation, if weight, packed size, and pricing are not issues for you, I highly recommend the 6-person Sundome over the other 2 smaller Sundomes. I love that I could not just stand upright at the peak height of the 6-person Sundome, I'm also able to stand upright on thick air mattresses and even bounce around on them, still with headroom left. It felt super roomy to me. On the other hand, I couldn't even stand upright in the 4-person and 2-person Sundomes, so it definitely felt a little bit tight, and this is the biggest factor in my recommendation. But wait, before you buy anything, you gotta check out how these Sundome tents compare against more than 10 other Coleman tents, and I highly recommend that you watch this video here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see ya in the next one.